Moon in Cancer, Sun in Gemini. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And you already know we breaking down some astrology. So, talking about the Moon in Cancer, Sun in Gemini off the bat, these two energies, right? We got cardinal water. The Moon is home in Cancer, right? And they're right next to each other. And then the Sun is immutable fire. So this is, as far as what we're reacting and responding to, it's a form of getting comfortable, right? How it looks is Gemini. So this is us needing to get comfortable with communication right now. You know what I'm saying? Basically, we need to start making that shift because we already know the sun is basically at this point 0 degrees Gemini. So we're still in that cuspy area between, the fixed earth going into the mutable air. And then on the other end, the moon is leaving the mutable air leaving the mutable air going into the cardinal water. So right now it's like shifting gears. And the main idea for Gemini season in general is we need to be communicating. You know what I'm saying? This is where the communication counts. You know what I'm saying? Basically, you look at it like springtime, right? Now we're in the end of the spring. Like I was saying in the previous video, Aries energy, that's us getting out there, expressing those ideas, taking the risk, developing the courage based upon our individual intentions and gaining our own strength. I don't know if it's frogs out or something. I don't know, because it was raining earlier, or I don't know what's going on, but the animals is out here. Hopefully it's not too crazy on the microphone. I don't think it is, but I bet y'all can hear it though. But for the most part, getting back into what I was saying, that's the Aries energy is us experiencing that. You know what I'm saying? Experiencing what's going on, getting those ideas out, sparking things up, and developing courage. And then in Taurus season, it's us grounding ourselves and us taking whatever that we experimented with Aries energy, now figuring out what makes sense. And we're being very selective and we're being disciplined. We're starting to organize and taking all those materials from the experiments we did in Aries season, and now we're grounding those. That's our foundation now. And from that foundation, we can start to set a tone for ourselves. And this is where we develop quality and value. We invest into whatever ideas that seem promising based upon us getting out and expressing what was on our mind initially, or what came from our subconscious from Pisces season, right? And so now in Gemini season, it's taking all that value and what we invested in and figuring out how to diversify it, spreading it out, like I be saying, germination season. So for the most part, with the moon in Cancer, now it's about, again, reacting, responding to getting comfortable, cardinal water. So this is us having to, when it comes to our emotional state, look at your situation at the moment and understand that if you're an individual who's uncomfortable with communication, or if you're looking at your time, you're like where you at right now and you're unsure, remember we're in waxing season. So it's about waxing period, where the moon is, we just came off a new moon, meaning that you need to put in the work. So again, it's probably great. Honestly, it's good if you do feel uncomfortable, because the power of the moon being in Cancer, you have the power to initiate and create a new way of feeling and dealing with emotions. So use that to your benefit to create better comfortability, even if you're highly uncomfortable at the moment, which you are more than likely, because we all going through a massive shift and a lot of energies are switching signs. So it's like it's already this intense energy and a lot of necessary changes in the process that we're making. And again, we're not even getting into whether or not you plan the good seeds or bad. But here's the thing, in the waxing period, this is the time to put in the work to correct everything you can. And the best way to do that is by staying in the present, understanding what's going on in the sky, and applying your spirit to it to make your own unique testimony. And that becomes your key to unlock doors in your life for you to continue to advance. So you got to look at this shit like, hey, okay, moon is in Cancer. Let me make myself feel how I want to feel. And that should put you in a certain comfort zone, even if you're shrouded in uncomfortability. That's the key that Cancers hold. They can make themselves comfortable. See, it's only toxic when they try to influence others to feel how they feel. You can't control others like that. Other people got their own feelings. Of course, you can do things to manipulate and put people in spaces, but oftentimes that leads to blood on your hand and resentment from the other individuals. And if you did that for malicious reasons and purposes, that that energy ends up coming back to you on some other way, where you end up being out of control, or you start to just realize how much control you actually lack. And for an individual who's lost and wanting to control everything, this could be devastating to you, because you start to see how uncontrollable a lot of the things you thought was controllable really are. And you probably set expectations for certain things, and now again, as those things unravel, you start to, again, areas in your life, how you do one thing, other things play out. So it's like other things will start crumbling, and you'll start to lose control in all different areas of life that you don't even realize came from you just wanting to control somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because you wasn't on your own shit. God don't, that's not godly. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, getting back to the point. So this is the power right now. This is the theme right now. So again, going into Gemini season, we're getting many different thoughts, many different ideas. Ideas are starting to rush in now. So again, this is either, if you planted the right seeds, this is you having you being able to organize your ideas enough, or analyze where the ideas that you want to actually, that like coming from everything that you invested in Taurus, planting the right seeds, look like you have many different ideas, but they all look like something that can be somewhat logical and useful. Now, if you planted the wrong seeds, this could be you scattered and not knowing what idea to go with, you having too many ideas that's leading to anxieties, and now you're stuck in whatever mental prison you've put yourself in. Now, getting into the moon's alignments, right? So the moon is sextiling all this energy in Taurus. So this is opportunities. Opportunities aren't always necessarily positive, but here's the thing. So the moon is going to be sextiling Mercury. So this is you being able to get comfortable with your ideas, and from your thoughts, being able to ground some of these decisions that you're in the process of making, right? So this is being able to ground your ideas, being able to set the give some kind of foundation, or give some kind of practicality to certain things that you are really your idea, because Mercury is where it is in the earth sign. So it's going to give you practical thoughts about your feelings and about what you're comfortable at, or what you might be uncomfortable, but that you can gain more comfortability with. So that's the opportunity. And then also it's going to be slightly, so Mars already, I believe Mars got into Leo yesterday. So it's not making a it's probably making a bit of a square, but it's kind of like early degrees. So it just might be a sextile, but it's leading into a square as Mars gets deeper into Leo, and then Mercury gets deeper into Mercury goes deeper into, what am I even saying? Because Mercury's early degrees Taurus, and I think that's just a square off the bat. So because we're dealing with Taurus. Oh, it's coming out of Cancer. That's why I was saying that. Why it's kind of like a slight sextile. You know what I'm saying? So right now it might be so early degrees that it's more of a sextile. But as Mars goes deeper into Leo, it's going to be a square with that Mercury energy. And then that's going to be a situation between our character, that we present ourselves, because Mars, Leo is all about expression. So as Mars starts to take more, go deeper into Leo, it's going to be you trying to be the face of that expression. So again, this can lead you to putting yourself in certain situations in which you go too far, you go too extreme, all for the sake of attention. But at the end of the day, everybody going to want to be seen for who they for your passions. You're going to want to be seen for your passions. You're going to let your passions, try not to allow your passions to become your character, because that can create clashes in other areas in your life where you became so just in it's like that self-centered energy, but you become that around your passions, and it can blind you in the sense of you develop everything you turn your passions basically into an ego. And so now again, this is just that energy where you can separate yourself, and this is that opposition from Pluto in Aquarius. You can separate yourself by being connected to other individuals in your community. You can estrange yourself from associations based upon how you see yourself, getting wrapped up in that ego and allowing that to make you self-centered. And so you start to think you the sun for real, and start to think that you is more important than you actually are. So you act and behave in a way that it might just turn people off. Again, that's the opposite to that Pluto and Aquarius energy, and this can create complications with your status. And also, it's in conjunct with Saturn, which also is another thing. Looking at another way in which it can kind of continue to go too far, because Saturn being in Pisces and also next to Neptune, this can create energies where not only are you self-centered and wrapped in that delusion of grandeur, but you can take that delusion and really make it a world that you live in and go to the absolute extreme imagination, and that can be very devastating. If as soon as somebody pierces through all that, and a lot of that it probably will end up happening around the full moon type shit, just because it'll be a full moon in Sagittarius. Who knows how long it'll really last, but it'll be a full moon in Sagittarius, which, you'll kind of see the result, you know what I'm saying, based upon how far you're able to go, based upon what's looking like a cage to you, because it'll start to look like a cage, all that imagination and that illusion that you in. Honestly, to be honest with you, it might last a little even longer, and the longer it lasts, the longer you're in that space, the harder the fall will be when everything comes to a close. Because going into Cancer season, that's the thing. In Cancer season, things get real intimate. So by you being in that kind of head ass space, because I'm gonna call it it's like a head ass energy where you just so much in, you egotistical off of being, and now you're self-centered as well. It's like this head ass energy, and once all this energy goes into Cancer, it's going to be, again, people going to remember that. People going to remember how you made them feel. People going to want to feel safe, and nobody really going to want to be close to you because of how you were expressing yourself during that time. And that's going to kind of, that'll play out how it play out. But because that's what was happening. It's like right now, that's what Pluto retrograde is really kind of needing for us to balance right now. It's like we need to make moves that support your status within that community. Now, if you need to change that community, that's a whole different story, but it matters because, see, it's all linked. It's like us needing to really tap into our true self, right? But through that experience, it's going to show you whether or not you belong in that community, whether that community can support you, or if it's time to switch up. You know what I'm saying? Now, the sun is going to be trining Pluto for a time before it goes in conjunct. So right now it's like it is still the gift because it's early Gemini where the sun is at, and you know what I'm saying, it's still in Aquarius. It's like a time in which right now with the Gemini energy, right? It's like right now you can really use oh shoot, my bad. I'm trying to get this thing off my phone. You could there's a gift there for you to be able to use this for you to be able to use, let me get that better, there we go. There's a gift here for you to be able to use the communication, Gemini, air energy, to actually, and this is why, again, we do need to have conversations. We need to make ourselves more available to have conversations, especially with individuals we do see in our community, because that's going to be necessary to get the experience. We have to experience and know for real, in reality, whether or not we are who we are. And what I mean by that is like, we got to know ourselves. Like everything we've been doing is like tapping into our new self within this new world. But now it's like, it's springtime again. It's almost like you got to remember, you got to reintroduce yourself. All the transformations you went through during the winter time, they created a new you. So you have to reacquaint yourself with individuals. Like, that's what happens in the springtime. That's why it's like energies and influences that make you want to go outside and go to places where other individuals going to be at, like the park, water parks, amusement parks and stuff like that, where we can be out in the sunny weather, so we can all kind of see what's going on and mix and mingle. And see, right now in Gemini, again, that's the first air sign. That's like, that's what it's all about. We need to take our mind and exchange it with others, have conversations, and things like this can really put us in certain positions, again, as a gift. But if you don't take advantage of that gift, again, you'll just continue to be in that same circle, in that same But see, here's the thing: you got to understand that associations, everything is continuously moving. Just because you had a status before, you think, oh, I don't got to put the work in to communicate during this time where it's supposed to. You got to remember, you're gonna, when you do decide, or when it becomes necessary and a need for you to start to communicate and associate yourself, you're gonna have outdated energy. You're not gonna be up to date with the new conversations. You're not gonna be hip to the new lingo. You're not gonna be aware of the thoughts, and you're not gonna have any real I use the word leverage a lot, but it's really like, intellectual leverage. Like when we're having conversations, right? Everything is even though, like, it's not to say every conversation is a competition, but it's like when we exchange ideas, people subconsciously like know who's on their mental level. So if you're around a bunch of individuals and like every time you participate in a conversation, it's never anything that pushes it forward or adds to it or builds onto what everybody else is talking about. People, this is where you get kind of classified as somebody who's a lot less intellectual, and you get to, it's almost like it puts you in a box. And that could play out a lot of times as some of that full moon energy, where you're going to start to see where, based upon your inability to communicate and your inability to socialize, and not just on a surface level of just talking and stuff like that, but actually, because even when it comes to your gifts and talents, again, everything you invested in as far as your values and what you have to offer to the world, if you're not actually getting out and going through experiences where you're talking about what it is that you do, you're gonna find yourself caged in, or not able to travel, not able to expand, or you're gonna feel like you don't have enough wisdom and knowledge. You didn't have enough experiences. This is that unsatisfaction energy that'll come from planting bad seeds leading up into the full moon. You're gonna be like, damn, like I missed my opportunity to jump, and this is gonna lead you to want to do the extreme. It go extremely hard, and it's gonna try and Leo, so it's gonna make that look like very like dramatic. It's going to be a dramatic leap of faith that really starts to, it's going to cause you to go through a lot of who knows what it'll lead to, because it could lead to a lot of different things, because it's going to be aligned in a lot of different things. But again, we'll get into that conversation later on as we develop, because it's about what's going on now. So while the moon is in Cancer, you got to look at it like, okay, you need to take this energy to start to get comfortable first with yourself, and first with the idea that, okay, I'm gonna have to start communicating. I'm gonna have to start getting up, and if that shit terrifies me, good, because that means that I can put a lot of energy into this and make it something. If I can come out of Gemini season making that shit feel comfortable, I'll probably be closer to what I'm trying to build for myself, because that's real energy. Anytime you face rejection and decide to go through it regardless of the outcome, you start to realize and see in real time what you're actually capable of, and that a lot of times is way more potent and powerful than you sitting back and playing it safe and trying to think you are wiser than going through the actual experience. Like sometimes you'll be thinking and you'll be so much in your head, and you'll think, well, I'll instead of going through it and seeing if I'm capable of it, I'm gonna just try to do it some kind of behind the scenes way. And I understand why people go through that, but at the same time, you cheat yourself out of real experience, and that's a form of you trying to cut a corner, and you're not going to get what you're not. It plays as 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where you're too scared. God is looking at you like you too scared to actually go through with conviction. And anything, again, you can't half-ass things. You get spotted, and it's like you can't really advance. There's no real energy in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look at it like, it's like the equivalent of a job that's not paying enough to support your esoteric bills. So it's like, look at your because this is internal. This is all this energy that we deal with, the rejection. That's big currency, energy currency. But you skipping out on those experiences instead getting a job at something that's like, again, below minimum wage. You going through an experience that like that's the equivalent in as taxing as, say, working at a warehouse, but you getting crumbs. But the experience is exhausting as well. But you thinking you cutting the corner because you getting a quick check. Where if you just applied your mind and went through things that, again, did incite that level of fear, but you decided to go straight through it, this is like you going to a higher paying job that you end up doing a lot less work, like an office job. But this office job, because you fit the requirements, aka you went through the actual trials and tribulations in reality and the experiences, you're qualified to go through this, which is still a frustration, but the experience itself is a lot more rewarding. They pay 10 times more than that other job, and you do 10 times less energy exertion with your body. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot less of going through, hard. Again, it's like this is how we make situations, make things harder for ourselves, thinking that we're getting over, not knowing that we're really just avoiding the real work. It takes a certain level of shadow work in order to just agree to go through something and not know what you're really going to get back on return, but being willing and open to see the capabilities. And from that, again, having the faith, belief, and imagination in yourself to know that no matter what, I can use something from this experience to advance me in whatever direction I'm going. And that's a deep, back and forth that you have to develop for yourself, because it's so easy to just be lazy and put something off. It's so easy to kind of take the route in which you've seen somebody else take and trying to ensure that you're going to be successful in something, when in reality, bro, no one knew. It's just a matter of you putting something out. But see, that's the thing. You got to know for yourself. So you got to have enough conviction in your ideas, and this is where it means, like, aim for the moon, hit a star, or something like that. Aim for the stars, hit the moon, something, whatever they say, bullshit. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this the same concept when it comes to you and what you got for your life. And this is why I be saying, like, always keeping it back in your mind. There is all possibilities, and there is a possibility in which what I put out, what I strive for, what I represent is more than enough, and I'll achieve whatever goal it is I set and aim for. So when you're constructing ideas in your mind, right, and you practicalize a good plan to do something, go through the process, go through the grounding of that idea. You got a vision for something, okay, feel about it, ground it, and see it, feel about it, right? Then from that feeling, start to logically square that out, right? Once you get the logic behind it, now ground it and start to make a practical plan for it. Going through that process is not easy, you know what I'm saying? And we all go through, cycle, like, and it's like it's a natural test, because once we start to ground something, this is us putting in the work. And this is where things get real, and it be the first experiences of difficulty, frustration, and potential rejection that we often struggle with. We don't know how to handle that, but it's all about persistence and staying consistent with that, and staying focused with that, and disciplining yourself, and really disciplining your mind. When I say discipline, it's your mind first, because you have to make sure that the thoughts and feelings that you develop are the ones that belong in that mixture you're creating, in that manifestation. The second you allow thoughts and feelings that don't belong in that mix, like self-doubt and questioning and wasting time, procrastinating, reasons, excuses, all that bullshit, shame, guilt, all that bullshit, you messed up the manifestation, or you delayed it. So we have to be very disciplined with what's on our mind first, thoughts and feelings, and choosing and selecting the right ones. And even if they're ones that, again, are doubts, and let those lead to us fixing what needs to be fixed and adjusting what needs to be adjusted for it to work. You know what I'm saying? Criticizing, being critical, and fixing and adjusting, all that energy can be useful. But people sometimes, we go, you get caught up in things and stuff like that, and certain things push you, and all that shit. And see, that's the kind of underlying tone for a lot of this energy, why we still got so much energy in Taurus, and even Mercury being there. We have to still be grounded with certain things. And then this grand fixed square, these are things that's situating ourselves. So we have to think in somewhat of a long term, as far as what we're participating in now, and thinking about these seeds, planting them long term. And long term, not like super long, but think about summertime and what you're looking to experience when we're going through the energy of, like, Leo, when the sun is in Leo and it's shine time. You know what I'm saying? You want to be in a position where you already had your seeds and your fruits planted, and you already got them sprouting now. You know what I'm saying? You already got them sprouting throughout Cancer season, and now in the, or you know what I'm saying? You want to have them where they're bloom. They might not all be right, but people can see where, oh, this is a beautiful flower bed, or this is a beautiful, this is fixing to be a beautiful plot of land that this individual done organized and put together. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a fruitful harvest. We can start to see, what I'm saying? Because that's really what Leo season is, or we can start to see what is going on, what's hidden for us, type shit. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So getting back to this energy, right? So the moon is also going to be sextiling the North Node, getting comfortable with our spiritual path, or seeing where we need to, get more comfortable with our spiritual path. And again, this is more grounded energy, the energy that we can use to ground. It's going to be the moon sextiling. And again, getting comfortable with just going through the uncomfortable stuff that we know is necessary to go through. Then the next step of that, the next energy would be the moon sextiling Uranus. So, getting comfortable with our uniqueness. Again, another layer that can add to our journey of grounding our new self, you know what I'm saying, and getting with it to where we can start to prepare ourselves to continue, and this is energy, again, just to ground you as you're going on this communication, make you feel more comfortable to the communication, and you having something that you can start to build on. So when you start to communicate, you can communicate something of value and not just be spitting out a bunch of random stuff that hold no weight and can't really be applied in reality. Because that's the thing. Gemini season, we need to communicate, but it's also communicate about some sense of practicality. Mercury is still in Taurus, so Mercury being in Taurus is like the conversations themselves need to be ones that look like this leading to some form of security, or something that we can be safe with, or something that we can keep consistent. So you need to be mindful about the individuals that you're speaking to, but not so egotistical or egocentric that you you play those mind games where you separate yourself. Again, you play out Aquarius energy, but in the wrong way, where you separate yourself but still want to be around everybody, but you might have this kind of air of you being more important, or again, these be thought forms that you be embellishing in behind closed doors. And remember that Lilith is involved in this square too, so or in this opposition too. So again, you could be doing a lot of this because of past embarrassments. A lot of this could be you just trying to cover up wounds, or being a reaction towards you. Again, you just got to really check yourself and make sure that what you're doing is genuine, is coming from some form of authenticity, and not just because of some kind of emotional reaction, or you want to be seen, or you got some kind of chip on your shoulder in which it's now time to prove, and all this other stuff, because it's going to be identified quick, you know what I'm saying, or over time, and it's going to crumble. You know what I'm saying? It's those are bad seeds, because you'll find yourself very alone at a time where we're going to need to be together, you know what I'm saying, with your people, with your community, with your individuals who think like you and who can help each other. Because really the whole point of the community thing too is like, you got to look too, Aquarius squaring Taurus, a lot of this energy is really powerful, because it's also us learning value exchange. So even the type of situations, like if you are a part of a community and you find yourself in some form of position, or you got some kind of status within the community, what's interesting is I find that it seems like it's us on some level practicing what it would be like to be able to have our own value exchange within the community. And this is a powerful concept, because when it comes to extreme ideas of what is going to lead to the future, right, it's just like building communities in real life. For instance, if we were to build a community in real life, it's the question of it's the energy, and right now is like setting up for the potential of that actually being able to work. Meaning right now we're all coming into alignment, all aligning ourselves and coming into awareness of our position and what we can actually contribute. And by learning this and dealing with these little frustrations internally and separately, right? See, Geminis, when we starting to mix and mingle, we can actually start to spark off those ideas that can show, because through the conversations, you're going to start to understand the real social dynamics. And it won't, again, in the proper setting with the right seeds, the right energy, the right mindset behind it, it won't be anything egotistical. It'll be everybody recognizing their position, but feeling powerful in that position, no matter what it is. Even if you're, Even if you are the esoteric garbage man, you're going to feel empowered in that position because you know that, okay, well, no, I got the skill set for this. And it's not going to be something to be embarrassed about. Again, that's the thing though. Lilith can play tricks with you that can make it, and then it's creating a sextile with the sun. So it can make you kind of see yourself, and you might react to the position that you see being set up for yourself. But it's really about being able to take power and control over that. And again, I'm using this as an analogy, but you got to understand that even if you see yourself, just because you might think you see yourself this way, this might not be how people actually see you. Or you got to keep in mind, you are the holder of the energy. People are experiencing that energy through you. So even if you do got to play that role that you're not comfortable with, or you think is embarrassing, you got to use your energy to either transform it, and transform it by doing different things, positioning yourself and conducting yourself differently. Or you're gonna have to see where you can remix whatever you're in, because again, it's highly dependent on what work you've already been putting in for yourself. So you have to be willing to be real with what the result is from your experience. But again, the power is always in your hand to express it and make it unique and make it you. So if it's either you're going to change it by changing yourself, or you're going to take it, hone in on what you actually do value within that, and make it look like how you want it to look. And that's how you can kind of work with that energy. But right now we're all kind of going through that internally, where we're facing ourselves and seeing the reality, the result of who we've been and what we've been investing in. And Jupiter is going to highlight that. Now with the Jupiter interacting with the square again, this is you expanding wisdom, experiencing the reality of your position, and whether or not you've actually been investing in the right things. And see, this is energy that can benefit you in the sense of, so with Jupiter, Jupiter's going to be sextile in the moon. So this is, feeling like you can expand, expanding on that feeling, expanding on the reality of what I was just kind of talking about. But this could also give you, better ideas on, or more, better ideas on how you can expand, or get comfortable with it. Like more experiences on, or I guess the opportunity to feel comfortable with your experience. Like kind of like what I was saying at the end, where it was like, you got the result, but now, okay, with this result, how can I make this comfortable? How can I turn this in? Take that opportunity to be like, okay, well, this is what I can start to use my wisdom and knowledge for, to build a foundation, and use the moon to start to be the seed of that, or start to be the water that nurtures that reality. Now, if you find yourself in a position you don't want to be in, then this is you coming to grips with that, understanding that feeling. And from that feeling, what changes do you need to make? Again, moon, sextile in Uranus. Get comfortable with the changes you're going to need to make in order to make that look like how you want it to look. Because everybody got to deal with the reality of the result right now. And it's a matter of just how you choose to go about it, and how you flip it, how you remix it, that really matters. Going into the moon conjuncting Venus, again, wanting to be, this is like overindulgent energy 101, where you're going to want to feel comfortable in your pleasure. So just be mindful of the tendency to want to do things in a selfish kind of way, a self-pleasing way. So try not to do that. But on the other end, find ways in which you can, feel good. But I don't know, you got to be careful with that energy, because Venus will have you overindulging in a minute, and you just don't want to get too comfortable right now, because things are the thing about it is, right now is not a time to be too comfortable anyway. So that's always energy to be mindful of. And it's going to be trine in Neptune, so you can again sink yourself right into a delusion. And again, like what is it? It's like just basically lost in la la land for real. Like on some other shit, just based on the pleasure. So addiction, you can fall into addiction, or develop a habit right now. And Gemini will be justifying it off of curiosity, when because Gemini is not a strong resistor all the time. Gemini dabble or dip in certain things, and before you know it, you don't went too far, and you were conversating with the wrong spirits, and now you somewhere just kind of deep in that pleasure, and you missed out on a lot of good energy where it was time to get out, get out the house and do things. The moon is going to, later on, the moon is going to conjunct Mars. So again, getting comfortable with passions, or highly reactive in an angry or aggressive type way. And that's going to be based upon, again, a lot of pent up energy, because Mars is waking up. So like, it could be pent up energy, especially if you don't see yourself being noticed, and you don't feel like you got anybody who's paying attention to what you got going on. This can make you very, reactionary, and want to, I don't know, what I'm saying, want to be seen and do anything to be seen and justified in whatever, you're trying to be seen for. The whole thing with Mars and Leo is you just got to really make sure that whatever you putting on that stage is worth looking at. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, like, do what you got to do, but if you're gonna make a scene, make sure you make a scene that other people can get something valuable out of. Otherwise, you just kind of doing stuff for dramatics. And again, because when it comes to attention and things of that nature, it's like people be wondering why they don't get attention, or why it be, some people really like negative attention that they get, and it, hey, everybody got their thing, but it's just like, make sure it's something that people might want to see, what I'm saying? Not just some bullshit and stuff like that. We got enough bullshit in the world. So it's like, come on now, do us all a favor. But hey, to each their own. What else? Moon going to be squaring Chiron, so learning how to get over those mistakes and stuff like that. Learning how to, feel about mistakes, and we already kind of been going through that. We already kind of been going through that shit. So right now it's going to be just, again, another time period to learn about how to feel about the mistakes and getting over them, or being able to put those aside so that we can get what we need to get done. Because that's the thing, we got to keep moving forward, and we got to look at this shit and say, if those are mistakes, okay, those are mistakes, but don't avoid them. You have to change the behavior. But if you already been changing, you've already been addressing mistakes, this is good energy to just keep you on that path, checking yourself and being like, okay, recognize what the mistake was, then change the feeling. Then recognize what the mistake was, then change the feeling, then change the thought, then change the actions. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to happen like that, Yeah, talked about Jupiter. Talked about, when it came to, trine in Saturn, and it kind of goes towards what I was saying about, our faith system, and how our belief system right now is kind of like a driving force to show whether or not it's kind of like an underlying driving force, because our belief system right now, if it's based on a delusion, you're going to create a lot of scenarios for you to be, doing a lot of this for nothing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this for nothing. A lot of this for something you're going to have to learn from. Because all this energy in Pisces is square in the sun. So it's a learning process between how we see things, like what we see and what we believe, right? What we're analyzing, what we're communicating about. We're going to have to learn, whether or not what we're investing ourselves into is actually real and valid in reality, or if it's too much of a delusion. And we have to not be so emotionally wrapped up in what we want to play out. We have to let what's playing out in real time play out. So that's kind of the square. We have to be outside of that imagination when we're going through these communications. And that's just so we can remain light enough to actually do something in reality. And it's like, it's still, that's going to be kind of the learning process, not being so emotionally caught up in what we are trying to imagine for ourselves, allowing the present to be what it is, and us to make actual progress in reality to show us what the potential of, what the potential of our imagination could be, basically. It's like good to have that imagination, but here's the thing, it's like, don't allow, because if the wrong imaginations are on your mind and stuff like that, it might get in the way of how you're trying to communicate or convey yourself. You know what I'm saying? You could be trying to convey yourself in a certain way where, again, the status that you imagine for yourself doesn't match the groundwork you actually have to do. So you might have to keep that imagination to yourself in a sense, and lighten yourself up, learn how to communicate without so much heavy emphasis or trying to, overbear that imagination on others, where you don't have to come off delusional when you're trying to communicate. You don't have to have everything driven by your emotions in a way. You can use your emotions. It's like you're not going to be misusing your emotions, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can use your emotions to make you imagine yourself in a certain way, and now when you're going to communicate, you're not even present in what's actually being communicated. You're just trying to mix and mingle based upon, again, a delusion, how you think you should come across, but you're not actually thinking and seeing what somebody else is saying. You're not actually present, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? With that kind of square with Saturn and Saturn, that square with Saturn, because how you act is not going to reflect the status in the imagination, but it's like that status in your imagination is in your imagination. So you might have to leave it there, or you're gonna, again, it's a learning process. So the frustration of how do I balance that out, you know what I'm saying? And then one thing to note too is Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces. So Neptune is about to hit, a little bit of that cuspy energy with Aries. So this is our imaginations, dreams, and delusions start to go into the cardinal fire, right? So, it's not at 28 degrees yet, because once it gets to the 28 degrees, it'll be cuspy for real. Right now, it's not cuspy yet, but it's heading there. So, it's going to be starting to sparks. Like, I don't know, our dreams going to start to, set off sparks for the most part. But we'll talk about that later on when it's actually in that cuspy energy. And because I don't even know when the next Neptune retrograde is. But I think that's about it, though, for the most part, with everything with the moon in Cancer. Yeah. My last couple of videos been long, super long, so I don't want to make this too long. But yeah, that's about the main thing. So yeah, right now it's about just getting comfortable with communicating. And this comfortability is going to lead us to having a lot more confidence, and we can solidify this feeling that we decided to concentrate on, right? You changed it, then you decided to concentrate on it. Now it's become fixed. That's the moon sliding into Leo, and you're going to have that full-on opportunity to kind of start to set the stage for everything that you've been investing yourself in, right? And now it's going to come with frustration, but that's really just the process of you putting things out and you going through with it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to go through with it. So, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. Make sure y'all check out the website, www.DaveBeyond.com, and sign up for the Daestar Daily. And, I'm going to have all my, updates on that website and things of that nature. Sign up for the newsletter, and you open up also the opportunity to get coupons on these courses I'm in the process of creating and I'm dropping. And then also merch and all the goodies, you know what I'm saying? So go ahead, tap into the website, leave a comment, what you like about the website, all that, share it with your friends. Much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.